Let me get links sent out. You know the drill. When you come in, let me know that you're here. I'm so excited for today. This is going to be a fun one. Let me get these done. That. And there we go. Okay. Close that. All right. Let y'all get in here. Hey, Tamra. Super happy that you're here. And y'all, I'm doing some behind the scenes prep work to begin with. We'll let everybody get here first. I'm dumping everything out. That was not part of the plan. Goes that. 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 And that. All right. That's all I want out here. We'll set this to the side. Let me get my gloves back on. Hey, Melinda. Happy to have you here. We're going to be talking about, we're going to do two parts to this today. The first half, I'm going to talk about things that you really need starting out, or things that I found helpful that didn't come in a starter kit. So if you have any questions about starting your resin journey, let me get rid of my watch. I don't want resin on my Apple Watch. That would not be good. All right. So gloves back on. Now that I got the links out, I have pre-mixed resin. It is sitting off to the side. I did not run it through my bubble remover machine, and you see today we're using Teakspert. They are very, very good about releasing their bubbles. So I found I really don't have to use a bubble remover machine for their resin. So today we're using Teakspert, just their regular one-to-one resin, and you can see I have sparkles already added to this. Y'all know my handy dandy Marabu Rainbow, which I love. It's an alcohol ink that's clear and just adds sparkle. It doesn't have like a white back color to it. So it's an easy way to add sparkle. But let's talk about starting your resin journey before we get into everything else. So the things I would say that I found, first of all, I highly recommend getting a starter kit because it has everything that you need to start. It has your resin, it has some colorant, either little mica packets for you to try mica powder, or it will come with some drops to color your resin. So it comes with your resin, it comes with some colorant, depending, that can be, each kit varies where that's concerned, but it's going to have a colorant. It's going to have your mold to use to create your first projects. And it's going to have gloves. It'll have some PPE. It does not come with a mask. So for the mask, I recommend, like you would use if you're spray painting, or that you see painters at an auto body shop wear, that kind of respiratory, that has the filters on the side, that kind of mask. I have a big air purifier in my house because I have long COVID. So we invested in a a good air purifier. In the area that I work, I have 3 sets of double paned windows. So, hey Linda, glad you're here. So I have a lot of ventilation in my area. And I had a long conversation with my doctor, so that is covered where that's concerned. And I highly suggest, please don't depend on internet doctor advice. Talk to your own doctor. They have the best understanding of what you individually need for your safety. But that's out of the way now. Let's talk about fun stuff. So those are all the things you get in your kit. You'll get popsicle sticks, or you're going to get some of these beautiful, which I love, these stirrers, because you can let resin dry and just push this up and it's going to peel right off. So if you're a picker or a peeler, you're loving these. Now, I made a list of things that I got or that I found helpful after trial and error of starting on my own and having to do my own research. I didn't know where to begin either. That's why I started making these videos, because I know how confused and lost I was when I first started out. So I wanted to help give that clarity and some clarification. So here are the things that I found helpful outside my kit. First of all, isopropyl alcohol to spritz and pop your bubbles, because now we can no longer use fire on these silicone molds. So no long lighters, no little brulee torches, none of that, because y'all know resin has grown in popularity. And that means there's a high demand for molds. And sadly, the quality of the mold has gone way down because the demand is so high. So they have to turn them out really fast, which brings them to a factory and all of that. So there's that trade-off. Isopropyl alcohol, and I use 99%. I just get mine off of Amazon. Super easy. Anything 91% or higher is good. The higher the percentage, the faster your alcohol is going to evaporate off. That's something a lot of people don't realize. Percentage matters for that reason. Now, the other thing I have is a Dawn soap and water mixture. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it is so hard to get my piece out of my mold. And I'll show you. This is a prime example. Ooh. I want to fly around. I didn't know I had stuff in here. Let me dump these. These little pyramid molds, they can be really hard to get your piece out of. But here is a super cool trick. Dawn soap and water in a spritz bottle. Just break the seal around your project. It doesn't have to be completely, just the very top. So you can squirt this mixture between the mold and your project and work it around. And I put a spritz on each side. So that side, this side, this side. And once I start working around, guess what happens? It pops out like a pimple. So easy to do. And it doesn't cost you anything. And it's not an expensive mold release. You will hear people asking about this. This is your economic, penny pinching mold release. Super easy. And you have this in your house. So that's the other thing that I use and I found was very helpful for me for all those little hard to release molds. Now, what is the other thing? Just a regular old file, fingernail file, to knock edges off of a piece that is cured. Let me see if I have one right here. I thought I did. I did some UV ones yesterday. But all you do with this is you just file gently. Don't dig into it really hard because you're going to leave marks on your resin. So just, here, we'll just use this as an example right here. Excuse my arm. All right, so you see this? See how this is raised and I haven't clipped this off. So we have that little edge there. All I'm going to do, I really don't want to. let me cover. Yeah, I don't want resin dust in this project we're about to start working on. So I'm going to cover these up so don't worry about it. But all you're going to do is you're going to take this file and just gently sand it down like that. I'm not digging in hard, and I'll dig in hard to show you. See how you're digging in hard and you leave those marks on the sides? That's what you don't want to do. You just want to gently go around the edge and knock that sharp corner down. And now it's not sharp, it's safe. And then I take a baby wipe, or you can take some of your alcohol and spray, and you just wipe it down and you're done. And you don't have to pour another layer to correct any of that. So hopefully that helps you understand you only need just a little emery board, no big deal, to knock down your edges, and you're done. They're ready to go out the door if you're selling them, and you don't have to reapply a new coat, any of that stuff to it. All right, we talked about the alcohol, the soap, the file. Y'all, this is my number one must-have. It is a handheld level. Ta-da! You make sure your pieces are level. You put your level down. You see how the bubbles in the center and all these. I know that this mold is level, and you could check your table, because I hear a lot of people, and this is what throws people off. They're like, I know my table is level. I checked it, but my pieces are still coming out wonky. Well, guess what they didn't check? They didn't check if their mold is actually level. Because a lot of times in these fast productions going through a machine, these can get off level. The mold itself can be unlevel. And that's going to throw your project off, and it's going to lead a lot of frustration, thinking that, oh my gosh, my table's off. I thought it was good. So a handheld level is your friend. And you can get these relatively cheap. I love it. What was my other thing? Packing tape is another one that's really good, because you can use tape to, and people ask, how do I get this glitter and all these little resin bits off my mold after I've used it? Tape is your friend. Simply pull a piece of tape off, and then you put it down on your mold, and guess what? All those little glitter pieces, all those little resin bits left behind, come off with your tape. So packing tape, great for that. Now, here is a top little ninja secret for you guys too. If you have a silicone cup, or you have a cup that you want to reuse, and you have those little bits and stuff inside your cup, here is a best trick ever. Get a lint roller, put inside, swirl it around. It's going to pull the little bits off, and you just peel that sheet off and go to a new sheet on your roller. So lint rollers are great too if you have cups that you're trying to reuse. Let me give this a stir. I got to keep watch because we don't want a flash cure. So we're just going to stir this. It's good. So tape, that's another big one. Glue, clear glue is also your friend. There is a glue trick that helps you keep your chunky, heavy, like this. This is a chunky glitter, and it will sink to the bottom of your piece because it's heavy. To keep that from happening, we have a glue trick. Thanks to Daniel Cooper. He is our wonderful resin mad scientist. He comes up with a lot of tricks. We love Daniel. So what you do is you take 1 drop of clear glue and 1 drop per 3 ounces of resin. So if you had 6 ounces of resin, you want to use 2 drops of glue. And that's going to keep your glitter evenly suspended throughout your project and not sink to the bottom. So that is a very big pro tip. Excuse me, y'all. I'm trying to come down with something crazy. What else did I say? We have, oh, here's another one that people don't think about. White vinegar. And I'm sure you have it in your pantry. White vinegar is your friend with resin. White vinegar breaks down resin. So if you have your little paddles and things that you automatically stir your resin and it gets all caked on and you're having a hard time getting it all off, fill a cup with some vinegar, put your little paddle down in there and let it soak. It's going to come right off. You can clean up resin off of floors, off of furniture. Super, y'all. When our granny said that white vinegar was a cure-all, they were not kidding. It's still true to this day. So, white vinegar is also your friend. And the last thing I want to talk about that I found very helpful starting my journey was, you see I have this is a puppy pad. There are two sides to a puppy pad. We have the plastic vinyl side, which I have facing up on my table. This is protecting my furniture because if resin spills, it peels right off. It's not going to get on my furniture. Now, here's the one that a lot of people don't realize. If you open this up, you have a cotton side, right? Put this under your table around your work area. So it's inevitable you're going to spill resin. Resin's going to drip. Instead of it dripping on your carpet, your hardwoods, anything like that that you're going to ruin or have a hard time cleaning, just put a puppy pad underneath your work area on the floor. So the cotton is going to absorb the resin if it spills. It's not going to let it flow right off like the plastic side would. It's going to absorb it. So there is another pro tip for you. Put a cotton side facing up puppy pad under your work area to protect your beautiful rugs, your hardwoods, tile, all of that. So those are the things that I found most helpful that weren't included in my kit when I started out. So does that help you guys? What other questions? Because I have videos that really break down what the difference between a regular resin, a fast cure resin, a UV resin, a deep pour resin. I have videos that go into a lot of detail on that to help you starting out. I also have them that go over the different colorants. And y'all have seen my chart, and I'll put it in the Facebook group again for everybody, where we talk about the weights of the different colorants, how active resin, and what they're best used for. So if you have those questions, let me know. And if you want to see that broken down again, just the colorants, let me know. And I'll do a video on just colorants. You're welcome, Melinda. I love helping people out. And I'm going to give y'all just a little background. I won't go too in-depth into it. But I started my resin journey because I had a very hard time after my mom passed. I was in such a deep depression, deep grief. I was just a lost soul. And I found that art gave me that therapeutic out that just got me through that stage in my life, dealing with that grief and the depression. So I want people to be able to get all of that therapeutic value that we find in art without adding stress or anxiety about starting because you don't know what to do. So that's why I make these videos, and I truly hope that it has saved you heartache and saved you the anxiety and given you a detailed how we do the step-by-step. So there's that little spill. I told you I wasn't going to go into it in depth because I'll make myself cry, and I don't want to do that. Today is a happy day, y'all. Today is a very happy day. We're going to talk about the second part of this video now. Do y'all know what starts tonight? Did you all guess and figure out what it was? Did you cheat and look it up? That's what I would have done. When I get asked a question like that, I cheat. I admit it, I cheat. So, do you know what starts tonight? We're getting a little warm here. Not too bad. But we are going to start speeding this part along a little bit. All right. The Olympics. Yes. Y'all, don't know how this snuck past me. I really don't. I am usually really big on this stuff, but it snuck in, and I did not realize it until this week. So we're gonna do, and I'm gonna show you how you can insert items and celebrate the Olympics. Y'all, in my house growing up, the Olympics were everything. My dad and my mom, they always got us shirts. We represented our country. We had our USA stuff. We sat in front of the TV, which granted, during my time frame, you held aluminum foil on an antenna and you laid in front of the TV to watch 3 channels. That's all we had. So it was a big deal in my house, and I love celebrating it. I love the patriotism and the pride, not just in our country, but watching all the other countries too. So wonderful. See, Melinda, it snuck past me too. I was very shocked. I was like, wait, what? Usually I'm on top of all this. All right. Anyway, we're here. And the opening ceremony starts tonight. So I have these from our last Olympics. And these are strictly just little cocktail flags that you put in a cupcake or whatever. Your hors d'oeuvres. That's all this is. So we're going to use these. And I have my 2026 numbers. And we have some little flags. And some little stars. And what I'm going to do, this is all you do, guys. You can cut this off. You can just snap your stick like so. And then you have your flag. And there we have it. Super easy to do, but a super little fun thing. Yes, exactly, Tamara. We were the remote. My daddy would lay in his recliner after he got off work. He had his scotch. He would be in the recliner, change the channel for me, or move the antenna. Okay, stop right there. You got to stand there. Make sure that your static energy gets into the antenna to make the picture clearer. There's far less snow. Those were the good old days. We don't have that problem now. It looks like we can walk through the TV right onto the track, or right onto the slopes, or the ice skating rink. I love ice skating. Sam and I were talking about this last night. Ice skating is one of my favorites for the winter. Loved it. And it was something that my mom and I really watched and bonded over. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about how to insert these things and make a cute little Olympic. Now, this is what I did before. I snapped these little eye hooks off. And you can leave them on, you can snap them off. And to snap it off, I have, this is a pair of pliers that comes with actually the UV dip. So you can form your wires to make little circles or flower petals or whatever. But it has a snipper, a wire cutter here, and it has pliers here. So you can just take your pliers like so and bend, and that little eye hook pops right off there. Super easy. I don't have to take it down to the wire cutter part of this. Throw that away. And then we just have our little pieces without the eye hook. If you want to leave it on there, leave it on there. It's no big deal if you do. So I'm just going to put this on again and just bend until this pops off like so. We have our little flagpole. And for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go through and snap everything off. I'm just going to leave it, but you get the idea and you know how to do it. Another way that you can do these flags is just take some scissors and cut it down the stick like so. Whoa. I don't want to cut my glove. So we're just going to cut it like this. There we go. So now you have your little flag without your wooden part. So we can put in there. And we can do all kind of designs we want, right? We can put our numbers at the top. And I'm putting the numbers on because this is a special year for the US. Yes. Yell through the open window. Have that too. And you know what? Back then, your parents didn't care if you climbed on the roof. You were okay. They trusted you. And if you fell, they tell you to put some dirt on it, rub it in, you'll be fine. You remember those days too? Uh-huh. Those were the days that you went outside and you didn't come back in and there's blood. And it had to be a lot of blood, not just a little. If you were thirsty, you drank from the hose. The best water you ever had. Wonderful. We survived. We lived. But that's another video. But so I use 2026 because this year for the US is our big 250th birthday. So it makes this Olympics even more special, I think. So I have these year numbers, and these are all metal, y'all. These are real metal. It's not plastic. So there's some weight to these. This is why I have a white background, so I can attach these to that. And I'm going to show you a different way, a couple different ways to do that. First, I can use some UV resin in my little, where'd it go? My little pin light to cure it on there in place. It's going to hold it in place. It's not going to move around. So that's one way you can attach it. And let's do that with this one. I'm just going to a little more than that. I'm just going to add a little UV to that. I'm going to put my number here. And then I'm going to take my light. Let me make sure that that is. And I'm going to secure that in place. Okay. So I'm going to hold the UV and let that, and you see that the light is on there curing that. I'm going to give it a few seconds. And now I can't move it. It's stuck there. So that's a great way if you want to ensure things get held down and aren't going to float up. But like I said, these are metal. They're not going anywhere. This is paper. It will float. And that might be a reason that you want to either leave your wood in or take it out. Now, I'm not going to secure these with UV. I wanted you to see how that works and how to do it. So that's how that works. In fact, let's do this paper. I want you to see this. Okay. And now I'm going to put this down. And I'm actually going to wipe up some of this. Y'all, I'm making a mess. Dagnabbit. It's hard when I have these gloves on. I don't want all that overflow. It's not really going to matter that much when I put my clear resin on. All right, so I'm going to take my pen. And you can see there's some overflow. And look at that. You know what I didn't do? This is a great lesson. I'm glad this happened. And I'm just not going to do it with the others. I'm going to show you what happens. I did not put a sealant over these flags. This is paper. So when it's getting wet, you can see that soaking on the paper. And to prevent that, we can use Mod Podge. and you brush thin layers of Mod Podge over your paper, your pictures, whatever you want to put in your resin. That's a way to seal it. But be careful with that. Make sure it's a very thin layer and let it completely dry. And then you go back and you put another thin layer on top. You do the front, you do the back, and you make sure that all of your corners are good and done. Well, so that's going to be a fail. Something else that I had are these cute little USA, and this is another cocktail stick that I got, and we can just break this off, and you can use scissors if you want. You don't have to use pliers. You can use scissors, cut it right off there. Then you have your cute little USA. You can put up here. And now let me show y'all because, yep, this is getting warm. So I need to start pouring this out. So this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I just made this design just because I wanted to. So I did that. So let me pour resin here. I'm going to pour some resin here. And I'm going to pour this, and I want you to see the difference when I put these in. I'm going to leave those there, and I'm going to show you what will happen. We have little bubbles popping up. That's something else you need to really watch and make sure when you do these that you're using. Pour in here. We're going to bring this all the way to the top. Okay. And we'll put more here. And now I want to set this to the side because we got all that poured out since it was getting warm. Now, remember I told you that we're going to leave these little hooks on? And I have my, oh, we do this one that's got a point. I use my silicone little tip tools, and I can move my pieces around. I want to make sure this is coated good. And these are metal, so I don't have to worry about any fading coming from our stars or our flag because it's enamel. And what you're going to see, those colors are the same thing that you would see. You know the car kits when you were growing up, you would put your dad would use those little glue kits and you get the tester enamel paint to paint the cars after they put it all together. That's what this is. This is enamel paint on here. So it's good. You don't have to worry about it, running or bleeding into your resin. These paper things and any fabric, like when I use my patriotic crosses that I make for our Gold Star families, and I use an actual flag, I test those flags, and I test it in just a little bookmark. I cut a strip that includes all the colors that's in that fabric, and I put a little resin in a bookmark, and I put that fabric in my bookmark, and I wait and see if any colors bleed out into my resin. So if you have colors that bleed out, you know you need to seal it. Okay? So let's put our little flag down and watch what happens when it starts taking on the resin. It's not that bright white anymore. So we have that, and we have, or we need the star. Or let's put 2 flags on this one. We'll make it different. And maybe we'll put this down a little further. See, when you use these silicone tips, You can move this around however you want it. If you change last minute, say, man, I don't want that there. I want that there. So you can do that. Or you can leave a space. So after this is cured, if you want to go back and put a sticker in the middle or a name or whatever you want to add, you have a space to do that. I'm not doing that with this. So I'm just going to move that back toward the center. I want to make sure that bubble gets out of there. And you're going to bubble set these for sure. So then we're going to do 2 stars on this one. And do it like so. Like so. And another thing, if you wait, and let's put, I really like that one with the USA in it. If you wait and let your resin heat up, you know what that means? When resin heats up, it thins out. And as it thins out, guess what happens? It allows your bubbles to escape easier. That's the difference. One of the differences of deep pour resin in a thicker resin like a fast cure resin. A fast cure resin is thicker, like honey, which is great for some techniques, but it doesn't allow as much time for your bubbles to escape like a deep pour does. But the trade-off with a deep pour is you have to wait longer for it to cure. So I cut that off, put it this way. I'll make sure that's down in there good. And we're going to get another USA cocktail stick and put that up here. All right. So there we go. Are y'all shocked at how easy this is? Did you expect it to be harder? That's one thing I have found. A lot of people are surprised that a lot of these techniques are so much easier than they thought. They get so scared. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that. It's kind of scary. There we go. Found another. There we go. Found 2 USAs. That's what I want. Y'all, I got these for 4th of July. They're super cute, huh? Little Uncle Sam hats, and which will be great for this 4th of July when we celebrate our 250th birthday. So I will put links to all of this stuff in the description after I finish this live. So you can just click the link and it will take you right to where you can get the stuff for yourself. And if you're in a different country, like I know some of my people are, you can find stuff that represents your country. So you can show a little patriotism through this holiday. See, now here we go. This is trying to rise up because it is kind of like styrofoam. It's on the lighter side. So if you don't secure these pieces, you have to babysit them to make sure they don't try to rise up and run away, right? And sometimes when I'm doing these like this, I'll put a super thin, like paper layer of resin down, and I'll add what I want to add. And it's so thin that these pieces can't float up, right? So if you put a super thin layer, you put your piece where you want it and let it sit for another hour, that resin's going to cure enough, it's going to grab on to your little piece you put in there, and it's not going to allow it to float up when you add more resin later. So that's a really big tip for you too. If you have a piece you know is going to float, for lack of a better word, and see these little bubbles where this stick is. I don't have them here because I took the stick out. I cut this off the stick. So I don't have that problem with this one. But this, where I left the stick inside, I have these little bubbles trying to form there. So I'm going to have to bubble sit, which I'm bubble sitting anyway. But I'm really going to have to be mindful of these little areas and make sure these pieces here, like I said, these are metal, so they're not going to float up. They're heavy. But these little styrofoam-like pieces are going to float. So I'm going to have to make sure they stay in place. And I'm going to have to watch all the little bubbles. Here comes my trick. Remember I said no more fire. So no long lighters, no brulee torches. If you're using a silicone mold, don't do it. People are going to say, I do it all the time and I don't have a problem. Great. But you know what would really be horrible is if you did that and you had a problem. Because I've had that problem. I lost a whole section. In fact, it was one of these molds. I used a lighter and I didn't hold it down there long, just like I normally do. Just wipe over to get rid of bubbles. And guess what happened? It stuck. It melded to my silicone. And the only way to get it out was to use a razor blade and trim the silicone off my piece, which ruined a whole disc. I had to cut it out because it was no good. Can't use it anymore. So beware. When I tell you guys don't use fire, I'm telling you to help prevent you from suffering the consequences like I did. Because these molds are not cheap anymore. Higher demand, higher price, right? Supply and demand. That's how that works. So be mindful when, and this you can see it's thickening up. See how thick this is? Because it's sitting and it's heated up. So that's all of that. And here is your last trip. I have a trash can next to my station. I throw my disposable cups because I found it's cheaper to use disposable cups and throw them away than it was to use the silicone cups and all the paper towels and the baby wipes it took to clean those out. It was way cheaper and less hassle just to buy the disposable cups in bulk. I wipe my stick off as soon as I'm done using it. And guess what? It's ready for its next use. One baby wipe, done. And I throw it away. So it's that easy. And y'all see, all I did was spray, one little spray. And like I said, this heated up. So it's thinner resin. And it's going to release those bubbles. I've wiped my silicone tip tool off. It's ready to use again. And I can wipe my little gloves off, my little mold if I had any spills there, clean this up, throw my baby wipe away, and I'm done. And I buy extra gloves because I found I've got to use nitrile gloves. Some of the other gloves that come in the kits really irritated my skin. So I keep a supply of nitrile gloves and I buy them in bulk and I buy them from Walmart. It's just a great value brand. Super cheap. I think this is 100 pair in the box or 100 gloves, so 50 pair. Use them one time, throw them away, all done. But you see how clear these are. And do this. Make sure you mark your bottle. And don't keep your soap bottle next to your alcohol bottle because I'll tell you what happened. Do I have to tell you or do you know what I'm about to say? I sprayed this soap mixture on a project I wanted to clear bubbles out in. And let's say it left a bubbly, sudsy mistake. So keep this way separate from your alcohol bottle so you don't have one of those mix-ups like I did. I mean, it worked out. I use it as a what not to do video. You know, we all still make mistakes, and that's fine. That's the biggest thing too. Here's the last thing I will tell you, because I really don't like going long on these. Y'all like them a little more concise. But I have to tell you this. If you are just starting out, we as artists hold ourselves to a standard that is not reasonable, right? If a person, let's say in our Facebook group, posted something about an issue that we've all faced, like example, using soap instead of alcohol, or pouring 2 parts of A instead of A and B, raise your hand, put a little smiley face in the comments if you've done that before. Because I know I'm not alone. Everyone does that at one point or another. So instead of the way we react to ourselves if we do that is, oh my gosh, you're so dumb. How could you make that mistake? You should know better. But you wouldn't give that same energy to a person in a Facebook group who did the same thing. So here's my saying. Give yourself the same grace that you give everybody else, because you are worthy too. Don't be so hard on yourself. We are not perfectionists. We're all learning. There are still things I learn, and I've been doing this for a long time. You're never too old to learn. Daniel Cooper proves us that all the time. He comes up with new tricks all the time. We love him for that. But I could say, I'm not going to try that. Why would I try that? It doesn't make any sense. How's that going to work? I'm just going to do what I'm doing because I know best. Don't get yourself in that mess either. Try new things. You might be surprised. And you might have talked yourself out of trying something that you end up loving and that you end up bringing a lot of joy to people through your art. But you were too scared to try it, and you didn't. So you sold out those people that could have got a benefit from your art, and you sold yourself out too, right? So don't hold yourself to such a standard that you would not hold other artists to that are doing the same thing. That's my advice. And I hope that helps you and gives you permission to fail. It's okay to fail. We learn the biggest life lessons through our failures, right? When we made a mistake, we learned so much either about ourselves that we're more resilient than we thought we were, or we found a new way that we would have never tried before, and it ended up being something spectacular. So give yourself permission to fail. Try things and fail from it. It's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. But y'all, that's all I have for this one. I am super excited about tonight. Leave me a comment. Leave me the flag of your country that you're going to be cheering on tonight at the Olympics. You're going to celebrate. Leave me the flag of the country that you're from. I am super excited. I can't wait to kick things off and start a fun time watching these athletes. And if you don't know, I live in Colorado Springs, the home of the Olympics. We have a very big Olympic training stadium. We have the Olympic Museum. We have Paralympic museums. Don't forget to cheer for those people too. They're awesome. Perfect. Yes, Melinda. I will be cheering on the United States, obviously, as on display here. What do y'all think about this one? We didn't talk much about this guy. All I did is I took, here they are, some little medicine cups, because the first layer that I poured is 2 ounces in each of these. So I had an ounce in here, an ounce in here. I put white And the white that I use is just the ocean white paste. So I put white on the bottom. So I had a cup of white. And then I used this Chameleon Powder. Oh, isn't that beautiful? I love this stuff. So I mixed up some Chameleon Powder and some white, and I just poured them in side by side. And then once I got it all poured in, I took my little silicone stick and just went and did some swirls. And that was it, y'all. And it created this beautiful little piece. Now I can go back if I want to. I could take some glitter. I can take some pearls. I can take some crushed glass. If I wanted to decorate it up even more, there's a lot of possibilities with that. So I wanted to show you something that wasn't Olympics to go next to our Olympic stuff. So you see that there's different things, and it's very simple. Pour your two colors at the same time. And if you wait and let your resin heat up, it's going to be thicker. If you let it sit longer, when this heat up, it was thin. That's what I wanted for that. But if you let it wait until it thickens up and then pour your two colors, they're not going to run and mix all together. So that's another trick for you. But y'all, that's all I have for this one. I'm going to be bubble sitting this for the next hour. I will do a short and show you the final results tomorrow, maybe later tonight, but probably not. It'll probably be tomorrow that I show you our final results with these super fun coasters. I hope you enjoyed. Oh, wait, before I do that, I want to do a giveaway. It's been a while since we did that. Let's do a giveaway. And y'all, I really want to do something special for my members. And I'm going to do a members only. And I'm going to do a Q&A. So you get one-on-one time with me. You can ask me specifically what you're struggling with. If you have a question about something, you can come one-on-one and we'll talk about it. And if your idea is something that I get a lot of questions about, maybe it will spark a video. And I'll give you credit for that. So thank you to all of my members. There's 5 more. And if you got a membership, just say thank you in the comments. Super fun, super easy. But y'all, that's all we have for this one. I really, really hope that you have a wonderful weekend. If you're watching the Olympics, great. If you're doing other stuff like the Super Bowl, whatever, have fun with your family. Enjoy your time together. That's all we have for this one. Make sure you do all the YouTube things. Give us a thumbs up because it lets others find us. And subscribe if you haven't. That doesn't cost anything. And it really helps our channel grow so other artists can find us and get the answers to the questions they might be having. But y'all, that's all I have for this one. Until next time, happy arting. Ta-ta for now.